It's easy to forget, but NBA players are human. They make mistakes just like everybody else. For all the good stuff that comes with being an NBA star, one of the biggest downsides is that everything they do is caught on live TV. The NBA has been around for a long time now, and there have been tons of embarrassing moments, but some stand out above the rest. Here's some of the most embarrassing moments in NBA history.
What on earth was that?
I don't know.
LeBron James' mom. Gloria James has been in the public eye for a long time. After all, her son has been one of the most hyped athletes in history since he was a young teenager. Like many NBA moms, Gloria takes her son's basketball games very seriously, sometimes too seriously. Things got really weird back in 2008 during the playoff game between the Cavs and the Celtics. That year, the Celtics were on their way to their first NBA championship in years, but at the time, Cleveland still had a chance to knock them out and take their place in the finals. At one point, during the fast break, LeBron got fouled by Paul Pierce. Pierce for sure fouled LeBron on purpose. He wrapped his arms around him, and together, they sort of spun off into the stands. It really wasn't a hard foul, it just maybe lasted a little too long. But what both players probably didn't realize was that LeBron's mom, Gloria, was in the stands right where they ended up, and she was not happy about it. She thought Paul Pierce was trying to kill her son. Right away, Gloria James stood up and started yelling all kinds of stuff at Pierce and making a scene out of nothing. Kevin Garnett, who had stepped in to try and break things up, was the first to speak to Gloria. He looked like he was trying to be calm and polite, but soon enough, Garnett was interrupted by LeBron James himself, who embarrassingly started yelling back at his own mother. Unless you're blind, you know what James said. "Sit your ass down." This embarrassing moment was a huge hit with the crew at Inside the NBA that night, and it was also a huge hit with basically everybody following basketball at the time. People couldn't believe LeBron would talk to his mama that way. They also couldn't believe he would do it right in front of the TV cameras. I mean, I get that the playoffs are stressful and all, but damn. Latrell Sprewell. This next moment was so embarrassing for the NBA, there isn't even any video of it. That could be because it happened out of practice, but it could also be because it was so damn embarrassing for the NBA that they blocked any video from ever being shown. Trust me, when you hear the story of what happened, it'll blow your mind. In 1997, Latrell Sprewell was a star player on a losing Warriors team. He was scoring more than 24 points a game, but somehow, it wasn't enough to earn Golden State a good record. Another problem was that Sprewell was known for getting into fights. 2 years earlier, in 1995, Sprewell got into a fight with his teammate Jerome Kersey. Sprewell got so mad at Kersey that he went and got a big 2x4 and came back holding it like a weapon. Sprewell also told Kersey that later on, he would come back with a gun. This didn't go over well. It also didn't go over well when Sprewell had gotten into another fight 2 years before that. Back in 1993, Sprewell got into a fist fight with another player named Byron Houston. Houston was a lot bigger and stronger than Sprewell, so this was a pretty crazy move. But it wasn't even close to crazy when you compare it to the moves Sprewell pulled in 1997. During the Warriors practice, head coach PJ Carlesimo got angry with Sprewell. The story goes that Sprewell wasn't passing the ball well. Carlesimo told Sprewell to put a little mustard on it next time. Well, I guess Latrell Sprewell doesn't like mustard. He told his coach that he was going to kill him. Then Sprewell grabbed him by the throat and started dragging him backwards. He strangled his coach like this for at least 10 seconds before other players and coaches pulled him away. If Sprewell hadn't been pulled away, he might have actually killed PJ Carlesimo. Luckily, Carlesimo wasn't badly hurt. Sprewell was thrown out of the gym and he went back and got in the shower, but about 20 minutes later, he was somehow still angry. Sprewell came back out of the shower, whether he had gotten dressed again or not, I don't know, and tried to attack Carlesimo a second time. We're talking full-on swinging. Carlesimo was able to dodge most of the punches before Sprewell was again pulled away, but Sprewell did manage to sort of brush Carlesimo's right cheek with one of his punches. As you can probably guess, news of this went all around the sports world right away. People were completely shocked that a player would try to actually kill his own coach. The NBA was pissed too. It was almost like Sprewell was basically trying to destroy the NBA's public image. At first, Sprewell was given a 10-game suspension, but that didn't go over well with the public. Most people thought it was nowhere near harsh enough. In response, the NBA changed their ruling and suspended Sprewell for an entire year.
I know that this conduct is not appropriate in society or in professional sports, and I totally accept the responsibility for what I've done.
They also ended his contract with the Warriors. This cost Sprewell over $23 million and erased the next 3 years of what was supposed to be his future NBA career. Sprewell didn't play again until 1999 when he signed with the New York Knicks. The Fort Wayne Pistons versus the Minneapolis Lakers. Believe it or not, there was a time when the Pistons and the Lakers didn't play in Los Angeles or Detroit. Back in 1950, they were the Fort Wayne Pistons and the Minneapolis Lakers. The NBA was really new back then. In fact, black players weren't even allowed in the league yet. They also hadn't made some of the rules we're used to today, like having a shot clock. The shot clock rule is a major part of this embarrassing story, as you'll soon see. During a game between the Pistons and the Lakers on November 22, 1950, more than 7,000 Lakers fans had packed into the arena in Minneapolis. Everyone was excited to see two of the league's best teams battle it out against each other, but that's not what they got to see. Instead, the Pistons decided to spend the whole game running around passing the ball back and forth and never trying to shoot the ball. Since there was no shot clock, the Pistons could do this for minutes at a time. This really pissed off the Lakers fans, who started yelling and swearing at the players. After the first quarter, the score was just 8-7. At halftime, the score was only 13-11. After the third quarter, the Pistons were somehow not even winning, and the score was just 17-14. The Pistons ended up rallying and just barely winning, with the final score being 19-18. This super lame and boring game pissed off just about everybody. The Lakers coach at the time, who was probably the least happy of all considering his team also lost a stupid game, said after that, "Play like that will kill professional basketball." He was probably right. The NBA agreed. 4 years later, they invented the shot clock. No game has ever come anywhere close to being that low scoring ever since. Derrick Rose. It wasn't that long ago that Derrick Rose was the most hyped player in the NBA. He went from growing up poor in a bad neighborhood in Chicago to being on the cover of Wheaties, winning MVP, and being worth millions of dollars. But people forget that right at the peak of his career, Rose was also part of a huge scandal that embarrassed both him and the entire NBA. In 2009, news broke that the University of Memphis, where Rose had played basketball, was looking into his grades. It turned out that Rose's SAT scores might be fake. At first, the sports world wasn't sure what this meant or how the school had found out about it. It later turned out that not long after Rose had started school in Memphis, the school had started looking into his scores and asking him questions about it. They thought Rose might have been part of a whole group of student athletes from Chicago who might have had fake grades and fake test scores. The investigation ended up not finding anything that Rose could be charged with. However, the University of Memphis actually erased all of its wins from the time Rose was playing there, and Rose had to pay a $100,000 settlement in court. If that sounds weird to you, you're not alone. Did Rose cheat on his SAT or not? For many, the question still feels unanswered even today. Some say that even if cheating on a test is wrong, it doesn't really make a difference to the game of basketball. Rose is a great player, and he would have been a great player either way. But other people feel like it's simply unfair because Rose might not have gotten into the University of Memphis without his SAT scores. If he did in fact cheat on his SAT, many NBA fans and players feel like they have a right to know. Paul Pierce. The yelling match between LeBron and his mom wasn't the only embarrassing moment Paul Pierce has been a part of, not even close. In fact, there was another moment around the same time that was probably even more embarrassing. After the Celtics beat the Cavs in the conference finals, they took on the Lakers in the 2008 NBA Finals. Game 1 was held in Boston in front of a sold-out crowd. The game was everything you would expect and hope for as a basketball fan. Two teams competing at the highest level on the world stage, fans all around the world watching, and the game was close too. In the middle of the third quarter, the score was neck and neck. Pierce was in charge of guarding the most dangerous man on the floor, Kobe Bryant. During that whole series, he scored close to 26 points per game, and Game 1 was no different. He had been scoring on Pierce all night, but Pierce must have been doing something right, since Boston was only 2 points behind. But on this particular day, after Kobe scored on Pierce, Pierce fell to the floor and started rolling around in pain. This was scary as hell for everyone in the arena. To see one of Boston's best players get injured during the first game of the finals would be tragic. Pierce still didn't get up, even as the rest of the players ran back to the other end of the floor. It looked like he was having some kind of pain in his left knee. As staff and players gathered around Pierce, announcers tried to look at different reply angles and figure out what had happened. It didn't really look like Pierce had landed all that badly, but based on the way he was acting, he must have seriously hurt himself. To the horror of Boston fans, Pierce ended up not being able to even stand up. A teammate and 2 staff members had to carry Pierce across the court. They helped him into a wheelchair and slowly pushed him into the locker room. An entire crowd of people working for the team and the press were all around Pierce as he made the dramatic trip out of the arena. Pierce looked like he was really upset, and the guy pushing his wheelchair even went so far as to try and cover Pierce's face from the cameras. The mood in Boston was extremely dark. If Pierce was out, the series might as well be over. And boy, did it seem like Pierce was out after that freak injury. But suddenly, just minutes later, Pierce came back out of the locker room, straight skipping along like a kid on Christmas. How is this even possible? What kind of crazy ass doctors did they have in the locker room? Was the man pumped full of drugs? It was amazing. Of course, fans in Boston went wild, but other people watching who were less wrapped up in the moment were scratching their heads. This seemed a little fishy. Well, turns out it was. Years later on ESPN, Pierce admitted that he just had to go to the bathroom.
I have a confession to make. Whoa. I just had to go to the bathroom.
A number one or
I had
number
to go
two?
to the bathroom.
But why did you need a wheelchair to get to the bathroom?
It was that bad.
It was something went down. I had to go to the bathroom.
Michelle Beadle.
You were streaking?
Okay, anywho.
No wonder he was skipping when he came back. Some people don't believe this. He has to be joking, right? There's no way he would actually do that. Or maybe there is. What do you think? J.R. Smith. No video about embarrassing moments will be complete without J.R. Smith. Smith is still the king. What he pulled in the 2018 NBA Finals still hasn't been topped. We've talked about this moment before on our channel. It's one of the most famous bloopers in basketball history, if not sports history as a whole. But it wasn't just a costly mistake. It was also one of the most embarrassing things an NBA player has ever done. When you're on a title-hungry NBA team, and you're playing in Game 1 of the finals, and the score is close in the final seconds of the fourth quarter, it's your time to shine. You for sure gotta know what the score is, and you gotta have a plan for what you're gonna do the second the ball ends up in your hands. But somehow, JR failed to do any of this, even at this incredibly important moment in his career. For some reason we may never know, he didn't know what the score was. Instead of trying to score and potentially win the game, he dribbled the ball out and sent the game into overtime.
He grabs an offensive rebound and runs out as if they're trying to run the clock out because he thinks they have the lead and ultimately blows it and sends the game into overtime. LeBron James is looking at him like he has to be the most idiotic individual on the planet Earth.
In overtime, that his team ended up losing it. The only thing that could have been more embarrassing than that would have been if he straight up ran over and scored another basket. If you like this video, be sure to check out our other videos like NBA players caught cheating on their wives, NBA players caught flirting with fans on live TV, and most expensive mansions of NBA stars. Also, don't forget to like, subscribe, and click the notification bell so you don't miss any great content like this. Catch you in the next video.